Hello everybody, how's it going? Like Butter here, and today I got a division video because I have some juicy information for you. If you guys didn't see State of the Game this morning, they revealed what Last Stand, the third expansion for the division is, and I was fortunate enough to be invited out to the Red Storm Studios last week for the Elite Task Force. So I actually got a chance to play this game mode, and I want to explain to you guys in this video kind of, what happened at the ETF and my experiences with the playtests and all that good stuff. But before we get into that, I do want to talk a little bit about some other information that was released as well, and I have to be very tiptoeish around this stuff because I don't want to say anything that I'm not allowed to say, but I think we're good to go. I want to talk about the 7 and 9 Dark Zone increase. Some of you guys may have heard that there is going to be a Dark Zone increase, DZ North, if you will. That's what the developers like to call it. And I want to say that the Dark Zone is phenomenal. It's awesome. The level design in DZ 7 to 9 is fantastic. It's built around like a PvP arena style, whereas like from like 1 to 3 in the Dark Zone, it's just open and like very, it's not as gritty as 7 to 9. So I'll let them release more information about DZ 7 to 9. But I saw a lot of people in the chat of State of the Game today very disappointed that Last Stand was PvP and had no PvE option. There is going to be an incursion that's coming out, and the incursion was amazing. I did happen to play it. It has raid-like elements, but I'm going to let them release all the information about like the name of it and all that stuff. So I can't disclose any of that information, but I will say that the raid is awesome. For you PvE players that aren't super stoked for the PvP mode, or you PvE players, I think I said PvE, you guys will enjoy the incursion a lot, I promise. But I do want to talk about like the whole, disappointment of not having a PvE Dark Zone. I do want to tell you that like the Dark Zone is going to be PvE now. Now you're probably like, wait, Drew, how? Now the Dark Zone isn't going to have a PvE option, but the Dark Zone is going to be played very PvE now, because you got to think about it like this. The Dark Zone's getting expanded, right? Which means like more landmarks, more things to do. There's more areas to go and farm on the map. When you have more areas to farm on the map and you have the same number of players, what's going to happen is it's going to stretch the players out across the map. So you won't ever get that comfort of never being shot, but you will have that comfort of having more resources available to you, and it's going to be less likely for you to run into other players. So seriously, like, I can't stress it enough, especially with the PvP game mode that's going to be separate. A lot of the players that just want a PvP are going to be playing Last Stand, and the Dark Zone is going to become more of a PvE zone where you have the option to PvP, kind of like it was when the game first came out. So please don't be bummed out about that. I promise, PvEers. And also they made it a lot easier to transfer from one Dark Zone checkpoint to another. So say you're in DZ1, you're trying to farm gear, and then all of a sudden you get ganked by a group of rogues. Well, cool thing is, the second you spawn in the checkpoint, you can immediately just, fast travel all the way up to DZ9 and not have to worry about running into that group pretty much ever again, right? So there's a lot of ways that the Dark Zone is going to become more PvE oriented. Now, if you want to go in PvP, that's fine. I think players who want to just PvP are going to play the game mode though. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit, to let you guys know, this expansion is for PvP, but do not be disappointed if you're a PvE player. Another cool thing is that they didn't really talk too much about this on State of the Game, but the new PvP game mode has a lot of PvE elements in it. Now, this game mode, Last Stand, is an 8 versus 8 PvP arena style game mode where it's objective based, where you have 3 tactical locations, and in those 3 tactical locations there are technically like 3 areas or 3 flags that you have to gather, and once you take control of those 3 flags, you start accumulating points every, I think, second or every 5 seconds, something like that. It goes in increments. And I saw some like articles getting it wrong. Like they're like, oh, you have to, capture all the points. That's not how it works. It's a point. It's a basically a data percentage. You're uploading a percentage of data, and whoever gets to 100% first wins, essentially. So you're always SHD. So whether, your opponents on their end, they're SHD, and then if you're playing, you're SHD, and you're playing against the rogue agents. So, how it works is basically you spawn in either at A or C, and there's a lot of PvP going on at the checkpoint B because you're trying to control B to get like more points. Obviously, I noticed that like the home bases are really easy to hold down because you can put up fortifications, you can put up pulse beacons. Like basically it's a beacon where it'll just pulse in an area around, so you can see if people are coming. And also the turrets are really strong too, so you have to be careful. You have to take them out and you have to move in tactically. And by that time, you already have people spawning in. So the real decider of the game is around the B point. And it's crazy. It's just a bloodbath at B. However, there are some PvE elements to this PvP mode where, as a PvE player, like we had 2 like very dominant PvE players, like they only PvE, that we were playing with at the ETF, 12 Gauge and Weezer. They were both people who weren't completely comfortable with PvP, but they really enjoyed the game mode because they felt like they were very useful, even though they weren't in the midst of the fight. I think I had Weezer following me around with a healer build at one point. He was just healing me the whole time, and he felt like he was being like a key factor of the game, and he was. Just because he wasn't slaying everybody doesn't mean that he's not contributing to the team winning. And I think that was a pretty cool element that they added in, where it's kind of got these PvE elements. Now, if you're confused about the PvE, how does the PvE help? Well, you actually have NPCs like around the map. There's like landmarks you can clear and stuff like that, and you can accumulate currency for your team by clearing out NPCs. And there's also boosts around the map that you can get. And by accumulating that currency, you're helping your team out. You're helping your team out not by getting kills, but you're helping your team out by getting currency so that you can buy those fortifications, so that you can buy those pulse beacons, so that you can get those point boosts, so that when your teammates do get the kills, they're getting more points for it and stuff like that. And I think that's amazing. It's so cool that there's like a PvE element. It almost feels a little bit like a MOBA at times, a third-person shooter MOBA where you got like these NPCs that are kind of like minions or creeps, and you can clear them for currency to give your team. So I think the new game mode is phenomenal. We played it a ton, and it was really fun. It was very bloodbath PvP craziness. It was actually crazy. And I felt like the maps, basically how it works is they break out parts of the Dark Zone. So for example, like one map will be like DZ 4 and 5, one map will be DZ 1 and 3, which I'll talk to in a moment here, because I was not a fan of the DZ 1 and 3. And like the DZ North, which was built for PvP, you can just tell that the matches up there are just insane. It's so fun. The verticality in DZ 7 and 9 is just unbelievable. Like, it's not like just cookie cutter. Like, if you notice, like if you go to Dark Zone 1 to 3, you notice how everything's very like cookie cutter. It's got these very long streets and the only a couple buildings that you can go into, whereas like DZ 7 and 9 is like just buildings that have layers upon layers of stacks and rooftops, and like there's just so many places to get shot from. It feels like you're in a city. I don't get that feeling from DZ 1 to 3. I just don't. And when we had the map DZ 1 to 3, it felt very boring and very like you know, just it didn't feel like it did up north. So I'm hoping that they make some changes to DZ 1-3 map, because it didn't feel like the other maps. I feel like if they leave the DZ 1-3 the way that it was, which I'm hoping that they're going to make some changes to it, it's going to be not great. But yeah, like the Dark Zone, like DZ North is so cool. You guys are going to love it. The gunfights up there are insane, and the maps are smaller, and it's more compact and stuff. And yeah, it's just crazy. I think you guys are really going to enjoy this game mode. And yeah, so like I said, there's like point boosts and stuff like that. So like you could have a PvE player back just getting point boosts and then like smoking NPCs, and then you have your slayers that are up in the fight, you know, and you can use all your gear. But we did test a version of normalization that they did mention on State of the Game today, and I saw the reaction of a lot of people. Like a lot of people were like, yes, this is awesome. A lot of people were like, no, it's not cool, like, you know, I want my gear to be relevant type of thing. And so let me explain how the normalization works. So the normalization works by taking a percentage of your minor and major stats on your gear, and then it basically assumes, like, for your like your firearms, electronics, and stamina, if you are a tank, a DPS player, or an electronics player, or just a balanced build. And it kind of assumes what you are and then takes like a small percentage of your stats and kind of dumbs it down. I didn't like the idea of that because I want builds to still be viable. I still want people making build videos. I still want people to be able to, you know, make their builds feel like their own. And when you're only taking a very small percentage of their major and minor stats, like I just felt like most of my build just got stripped from me. So my idea that I really hope they implement into the game is that instead of normalizing the overall build, normalize the individual stats. Give everyone god roll. So if you have health in your main stat, give people the same amount of health in that slot, no matter what health you have on your gear. So basically, if you have the stat in slot, it will give you a set amount of that stat. And I think that's good because it keeps build diversity, but it also dumbs it down enough where everyone is kind of at the same level. So for example, you know, if you have anywhere between like 3,000 to 5,000 health, right? Well, that's like the major stat or something like that, that you can get on chest piece. So whether you have 3,000 health or 5,000 health, in the game mode, it will give you 4,000 or a set amount, or 3 or 5,000, just anything, as long as everyone gets kind of bumped up to 256 and gets all the same amounts of stats. That way, if you go in with a Frankenstein build, like I feel like you should suffer the consequences of that. If you go in with like, you know, like skill haste on one piece, and then you got, you know, health on one piece, and you got like all these random stats, like I feel like you should feel the negatives to that. Like, learn how to build. Like, I know that sounds really like douchey for me to say, but it's an RPG game. Like, I don't want people to just not have to care about their gear at all and can just jump right into the match. Like, I really feel like you still need to somewhat learn what to build, and then it doesn't really put as much pressure on the RNG part. It's not like, well, you know, I outplayed this person because I had a little bit more health, I had better rolls on my stats. No, it's the combination of rolls that I had, that the person that I played against had, that, you know, made him win that fight. I mean, that's just a choice that he decided to make. And that way it makes it so that people who only want a PvP can get gear really fast, and they don't need to have god roll, like min-max gear. All they need to do is just have the stats in slot. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Would you guys rather have my idea, where everyone keeps the you know, keeps your main major stats and all that stuff, and it doesn't get cut into a small percentage, and then have it so that like everyone has the same? Or would you rather have it like what they're doing, where they take only I think it's 1/10 of what your major and minor stats are, and then kind of assume whether you're a DPS, tank, or a you know, a skill power player? Yeah, so we'll have to see. I'm assuming both of those are going to be tested on the PTS, which was announced today as well. There's going to be PTS for 1.6 and Last Stand. No date yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be pretty soon, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys so much for watching this video. Hopefully I answered all your questions. There's a lot of information about 1.6 that I can't talk about yet, which will be released tomorrow in an article, I believe they said. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. I'll make sure to do a video as soon as that's out. But yeah, if you guys have any questions about the modes, just, you know, let me know. I think it's super awesome that we're finally getting a dedicated PvP arena game mode that people can queue into and then get rewards at the end. It's like a division version of Crucible. And yeah, it's only one game mode, but so is a MOBA, you know, and it gets played in so many different ways that it won't get boring, I promise. So I can't wait to grind that out. I really hope they add some sort of ranking system into the game if they can. That was one of the big things that I was stressing. I really want to see like an elo-based ranking system for this PvP mode, just to give people a reason to continuously grind. Like there needs to be a reason for players like myself who already have all the gear and everything's min-max. Like, give us something, give us a reason to continuously grind this mode, you know? Oh, one more thing I almost forgot. They talked about they're also going to be testing a solo-only version of Survival. That was like the most exciting thing for me because I didn't know that they were going to do that. If you guys don't know, like, you know, solo queuing has been a huge problem in Survival because you're getting put up against groups, and I think I know what's happening. So, not a lot of people play Survival in groups. A lot of people play a solo, so I think what's happening is once the people who queue up in a group are queuing for a certain amount of time, it will just throw them in a match with other solo players. And that completely ruins the experience for solo players because the entire point of playing solo is because you want that fair experience. You want another 24 players around you also queuing for solo, and you can't group up either, which was like one of the main ideas that I had, and I can't wait to try that out. Oh, I'm so pumped for that because Survival has been a bummer for me lately because I've just been running into groups of 3 like all the time, and it's not fun. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully I gave you guys like enough information in this video. Like I said, I can talk about my experience. I'll probably be explaining more about it on stream tonight if you're interested. Don't forget, guys, new stream schedule. I'm streaming at 7 p.m. Eastern every single day, and then on Friday and Saturday I stream at 5 p.m. so 2 hours early, and then Sunday I have off, which I did end up streaming last Sunday because that's the day that I got back from the ETF. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I'll talk to you guys next time, and hopefully you enjoy the rest of your day. All right, take care, everybody.
Active echo beacon detected. Power generator stabilized.
Well, nothing's exploded, and that siren stopped, so looks like we're good. I got an engineering team already mobile. They can finish up at the plant. Nothing left for you to do, so I guess you can roll out.